excited that we still had so many people that were willing to come. This is Tanya Buchanan. We have been friends for a very, very long time, over 30 years. And she has always been a very, very inspirational person to me and to many others. So we are now in our 50s. Tanya is 55 years old. And the reason I mention that, you will see clearly after our conversation or during our conversation why that is significant. She just got through with a 50-mile run. She is an avid runner, an avid student of fitness, nutrition, and wellness. And today she is going to be talking to us about a concept called the power of compounded totality. This was a new phrase to me. This was a new concept. So Tanya, tell us what that is.
Well, I first got introduced to this listening to a audiobook by Jillian Michaels. And I think it's a concept that I've experienced in life, but I didn't quite have words for it, and I didn't really know it was a real thing. What happened is Jillian Michaels was talking about how people come to her as a health and fitness coach, and she may want to help them with their total transformation in their life. But a lot of times she'd be posed with the question, okay, Jillian, what are the three most important
Mm-hmm.
things that I need to do? What matters the most? And so she would probably try to come up with her top three things. And people would go off and do those three things, and sometimes they would get almost zero results. It was
Wow.
really baffling to her because she thought, well, 3 out of 10, you gotta at least get 30% results. That would be significant for a lot of people. But what was the reason why those three things didn't seem to make such a huge difference? So what she began to realize is that the clients that she worked for that already had a strong foundation of a lot of the littler things that they were already doing
Mm.
meant when you added those three more extra things, the foundation that was already set compounded with those extra things that she was doing, and the totality of what the results were
Oh,
exponential. So those
wow.
three things had a major difference because of the foundation that was already laid. So basically,
That is awesome.
yeah. So basically, it's the quality and the quantity of the basic efforts that we make on a daily basis that we may
Mm-hmm.
not even think are that significant. But the point
Mm-hmm.
is, we do them consistently. And they prepare our bodies, they prepare our minds, and anything else that we have set for us goals or whatever becomes more successful because of this compounded effect.
Okay. So, when did you experience this concept in your life, um, at a very grand scale? What were the circumstances and how did you really see that this is true?
Okay. What happened with me is about 19 years ago, I was in a very serious car accident. It was pretty much a head on collision for me. Somebody took a last minute left hand turn when I was going about 55 miles on the road,
Wow.
and I really had no time to stop. My car came to a dead stop in the middle of the intersection like I had hit a brick wall. So I had some major damage done to my lower spine. What happened is my pelvis kind of went under the seatbelt, my spine opened up, and all my discs flew forward. So
Wow.
I was in alignment from like the rib cage down. I was in chronic pain for about 2.5 years, but I had gone to an MRI, and the guy who looked at the MRI just said, "Oh my gosh, I can't even believe, you can walk right now." And I had had an orthopedic consultant who told me, "You better forget about running.
Oh man.
Urgent care," because I used to get these muscle spasms that gave me nerve pain as if I was being electrocuted.
Oh my goodness.
I couldn't even walk. So he told me I had advanced arthritis, degenerative discs, and bone spurs. And
Wow.
running's out of the question.
Yeah, well, because all of those sound like end of that's it. That's it.
Pretty much. And very important lesson that I learned is be careful who you listen to, because if I had listened to those words and
Mm-hmm.
really believed them, then
Right.
I wouldn't be where I am today, obviously. So I was grateful to have a chiropractor who happened to be a marathon runner. And so at one
Mm.
point I asked him, when am I ever going to heal? And he said, well, you've pretty much already healed. And I said, you mean you think I'm stuck this way? And he said, well, there are some things that you can do. And so we went into that. But I said to him, will my body let me run? Can I? And he says, well, if you're able to, go ahead and try. So about 5 months into my injury, I started little by little trying. But here's what I discovered. I had already been in great physical condition because I had
Mm-hmm.
trained for a Sierra backpacking trip, 10-day trip where I hiked with a 36-mile backpack. So my back was already strong in my core and my muscles. I was already taking a lot of supplements and I had a connection to a nutritionist that could even add to my program and help me get things that were targeted towards my problem. I was already doing like massage and stretching and getting good rest and, learning what things that I could do to help strengthen and support my back. I was juicing because celery salts help to lubricate the soft tissues that you have. I consulted even your cousin Tim, who gave me some
Mm-hmm.
products like bioactive collagen and hyaluronic acid that help to keep everything soft. So I had so many things that I was already doing that because of that, the few extra therapies that I started to do just really made a significant difference. And when other
Ah,
people with a similar problem would ask me what I did, what I would do is just tell them a couple of the therapy things, but none of that stuff really worked for them because all the other things that I
they
was,
didn't have that foundation that you did.
that's it, that's it. Those extra things that I added just compounded on what was already
Mm.
on. And so that compounded totality effect actually happened. And when Jillian
Wow.
said it, I got it. I'm like, that's it. That's what.
Yeah, that is awesome. So all of these things happened even before you even heard of the concept that Jillian Michael, but you could actually
Yes,
see it in your life as working.
yes.
Now, you said something really interesting that I wanted to make sure that we focused in on is that you said you have to be careful who you listen to. So was it just that one person that gave you the confidence that you could do it, that you could try to do it? What else was it that kind of gave you that confidence that you knew that you could do it?
Okay. Well, one of the things that I've always done in my training is I always create moments for myself. Like, for instance, when I would do these high climbs, 5,000-foot elevation, 10 miles or whatever of climbing, if you were to look from the bottom up at where your destination is, you think, oh my goodness,
Yeah,
hard.
overwhelmed.
But what I started doing is at the halfway points, I would look back and I would see it would look teeny tiny, this little speck of space, which is where my run started. And I
Wow.
would realize, look at where I am right now. Look at where
Hmm.
I'm standing right now. I've already gone so far. I've done hard things. That's
Mm,
how I know I can do hard things because I've already done them. And
I
so I
love that.
these memories, these moments
Hmm.
about what I've already done, and that would stay with me. And so I would repeatedly just try to, earmark these milestones so that
Hmm.
I remind myself that I'm still moving forward, even if it seems small. I'm going to get there.
Right. Some people call that the mind of a champion
Mhm,
because when you visualize where you're going,
mhm.
you're going to get there. You're more likely to get there. And so you really took that. You looked at the whole picture, where you had come from, where you still needed to go, and that consistency that you had enabled you to have the confidence that you could do it.
I basically created proof based on the
Hmm.
evidence that I already had. I created
Mm.
proof that the future was possible based on what the past history had shown me. And that concept kind of played true in the 50-mile race that we'll get to, is that I'd
Hmm.
already done a 50K, which was 31 miles. So the jump of 19 more miles may have seemed a little daunting, but it's really just the same things that got me to that point that was going to
Hmm.
get further point, I had already done the hard things. So I had the belief system that I could continue to do hard things.
Wow. Well, and that really kind of plays into our whole theme of this compounded totality, because it was those little things that gave you the belief system. So not only physically you were able to do it, but it was mentally. And a lot of times, like we know, that is the most important piece, is believing that you could do it.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you've always been a runner. What made you decide that you wanted to look at a 50-mile run? I mean, to most of us that sounds outrageous. Why did you want to do that?
It pretty much just felt like more and an extension of what I already enjoyed. And I just thought I'm a realist, but I'm also very much of an optimist. And I thought, well, why not?
Hmm.
I what I did is I consulted like a mentor, somebody.
Hey, hang on just a second. Somebody was saying that your level seems low.
Oh,
Can you turn it up a bit? Maybe.
okay. Does that work at all? Is that helpful? Or I can get
I,
it closer. Did that help?
Yeah, no, I think that sounds
Oh,
better to me.
okay.
Let's see if she says it's better.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Sorry.
Thanks. I didn't even notice the comment. But so what I did with this latest goal is, I found somebody that I knew I could trust because of what their experience was, and that would be honest with me about where I was at, what I needed to do to get to that point. So he had me do a questionnaire, and I wrote down what I felt like some of my strengths were and some of my
Mm,
weaknesses were. One of the weaknesses I felt was that, I needed to have an absence of doubt or fear. I needed to be able to solve problems in advance. And so here were a few of the gaps, and the cracks that were in
mhm.
my system that he had to help me work with. And so he gave me a few mindset things, and here was the one that made the difference. He told me that when you take on something big like this, there will be those moments where you feel like you're walking into the darkness. But the mantra that I had is, when you step out into the darkness, you have to have faith that one of two things will happen. Either you will stand on solid ground, or you will be taught to fly.
I love that.
That is a figurative thing, but when you have that in your head, what could go wrong? Right?
Right.
I mean, you
Yeah.
step out
Both
there,
alternatives are
yeah,
you're gonna be
you're
successful with.
safe. It's going to be okay. And just the confidence that you've learned how to problem solve all throughout your training.
Hmm.
You've learned what kind of gear, what kind of hydration, what kind of fuel. You learned about what all the what ifs are. I mean, one of mine was I have
Hmm.
major muscle cramping issues that I still get in my lower spine because I do have scar tissue and I do have
Mm,
some impingement in my fascia, which can tend to create cramps and things in my right leg. And so I was just prepared in advance for all of those things. And whatever I didn't know, there's people out there on the course, either at the aid station
mm,
or some of the volunteers, fellow runners. They've all been through this. In fact, that brings me to another point, that most of the runners, the women that did best in this race, were all in their 40s and 50s. Those were the ones who were dominating this race. And
wow.
most of these women didn't even start running maybe till they were in their 40s.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. So I put myself in a safe place.
Hmm.
Nothing was going to go wrong that I couldn't handle. And I
Mm,
believe that. Just go out there and do your thing. It's gonna be fine.
yeah. Do you have fun when you're out there?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I refer to it as my playground, you know. I have fallen in love with it. And
Mm,
it's once again another way that I create these moments. I try as we're running, because sometimes you're focusing on your feet. You don't want to trip and
hmm.
fall. And I'll even stop another runner and say, hey, look at this. You've got to look at this. One of my favorite is seeing all the layers, when you have the fog and maybe you'll have water and trees and multiple layers of mountains and things. And when you have those moments of awe and you appreciate creation and just the privilege of being there, because there's only one way to get there, and that's on your own 2 feet. You can't
Wow.
get there.
That's
Yeah,
powerful.
you can't be hella dropped.
Yeah.
You have
Yeah.
to put one foot in front of the other. And so I do it because of these massive rewards that I get for being there.
Wow. Wow. That is amazing. Okay, so you have given us a lot of great gems. I knew that we would. A couple that I picked out that I really liked was it's the little things that you pull together that becomes your foundation that
Mhm.
allows you to build on it no matter what it is that you're trying to do. The second thing that I really loved was that be careful who you listen to. Um, if somebody tells you, oh, you can't do that because you always quit things, and so you're not going to be able to do that, or oh, you can't do that, that's way too far for you, or that's way too hard, or whatever, then we could listen to that. But there's the one person, even if it's us, that says, no, I know what I've done before and I know what I can do now. I'll do that. So I thought those two were really good points. Do you want to kind of summarize some
Yeah,
things?
because it can even be a total stranger, somebody that doesn't even know you personally, but it's somebody who's doing what you want to do,
Hmm.
because they're already putting into practice the things that you want to do, and they already have the mindset. So you can borrow their thoughts and their words and make them your own, and they become real to you. I would even say you may not even discuss some of your goals with people that you believe might be the naysayers. If you
Mm.
take a poll, sometimes you know who's going to be the ones who might be more negative and who might
Hmm.
be the ones who will always have your back and always tell you you can do it. So gravitate more towards that, because you really don't want those things in your head, and it's much easier to go back to those negative people after the fact that you've
Yeah,
done it. So what can they say, right?
exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, we wouldn't say I told you so because, that
No,
wouldn't be
no.
right. But
But you've heard that saying, what I do is so powerful that you can't hear what I'm saying. So it's what I'm doing that I want you to listen to, not what I'm
hmm.
saying. It's what I'm doing that matters.
Right,
Um,
right. Now you had given me a list of 10 things
yeah.
because, we've been talking about your foundation
Hmm.
and all of the things that you had been doing that
Hmm.
allowed you to continue to do more and more things, even despite adversity.
Yes.
Um, Tell us what those things are because we want to know that if we have gaps in that foundation for us, we want to know what those gaps could be. So
Okay.
what are those things for you?
Okay, I took some notes because, as you know, I'm very passionate about this, and I could go on, so I'll stay targeted. And then remind me to tell you that with this foundation, there were two other little things I tweaked about my schedule and ritual that helped with this 50-mile race. So,
Okay.
okay, so first of all, well, this kind of ties into it, is that I needed more time and energy to be able to do this because I really
Hmm.
couldn't train anymore. So I committed to become an early riser. I started getting up 2.5 hours earlier than I normally
Wow.
would. And
Oh
the
my
reason
goodness.
is because I needed to front load my day so that I wasn't scrambling around to the last second before it was time to go to bed. I needed time to conserve energy. I
Mm,
needed downtime. I needed rest time. That was going to give me time, but it was also going to help me with my energy levels. So I committed to become an early riser. That was one of the things I did. Another thing was food prep. I'm out on the road all day long. So in order to eat well, I had to be in control of what was going to be going into my mouth. So I'm not going through Del Taco. So I would, yeah. So I would prepare all my foods. Then I have a big soft pack. I would put all the things together that I was going to eat throughout the day. And I made sure I controlled that daily so that I could have the highest
mm,
level of nutrition. Next thing, I set a schedule for any of my workouts that I was going to do. I always had running partners. I had a set time, a set place, and a set amount of miles that I was going
mm,
to do. If it was on the schedule, it was going to
mhm.
happen. And committing to other people meant I wasn't going to back out.
Yeah, accountability.
Exactly. So then also preparing, I'd always prepare my gear, my hydration, my fuel, all those things, because that was the reminder the night before as well. This is happening tomorrow. And I would go to bed looking forward to it.
Hmm.
So that was another thing, kind of creating those moments that were about to happen. Next, once again, rest. You have sleep is essential. You need, downtime. You need to rejuvenate. You need to recover. I have rituals that I do, like I do my Epsom salt baths, I do stretching and strengthening. Um, I make time to read things that are going to, you know, that are going to feed my mind well, and
Hmm.
as well as listening to other people on videos and stuff. Supplements, I already had a good routine, but I have a practitioner that gives me targeted things that help,
Hmm.
making sure that I'm taking care of muscles and joints and all that. A key one about feeding my mind. That's another thing about creating those moments, but then also, you know, you can't, as we know, you can't recall things that aren't already there.
Hmm.
So in advance of adversity, you have to think in your mind, how would I combat that
Hmm.
obstacle? If that gets in my way and tries to stop me, what is the plan that I have in my head in advance of that going on?
Hmm.
I've learned from other people's obstacles and what they've overcome, that if I ever find myself in that spot, this is what I would do. This is how I would think. So a lot of mind preparation. So I put a lot of things in there so that it can all come out when it's ready. Um, Once again, finding a mentor. So I did
Hmm.
find that one person that I could be completely honest with my fears, by, admitting the things that I don't know and needed to know, how to put me on track, and he definitely did. So it's a trusted mentor. And then the power of habits, just learning to be a lifelong student
Hmm.
of just trying to be successful at anything you do. And I think that is where this translates to anything, whether it's a
Hmm.
fitness goal, a health goal, a business goal, um, what rituals and things that you put in place on a daily basis. Once that's set, all you're doing is just tweaking things here and there. You're making
Hmm.
minor adjustments as you go along the road, but the basic plan is in place.
Hmm.
And that's the reason we in this group who are doing these things already are going to have the results. And maybe others will struggle if they only want to do those one or two things,
Hmm.
as opposed to just looking at your life and your processes as a whole.
Hmm. That this is awesome. I love it. And all of those 10 things that Tanya mentioned, I will put in the comments, the notes of for this live. So if you want to save it, you want to jot them down. If you didn't get a chance to take notes, then you can do that. Um, and you know, because we know that one of those critical pieces to success was who we listen to, um, why don't we plan on being the person that is the positive influence that says, yes, you can do it. And if we can be that for somebody else, then, you know, we're going to help them be successful. And then somebody will be that for us. But let's make sure that we're not the person that tells somebody that they can't do it, that they've always quit, that their track record shows that they're not going to be successful, because that's not true. Let's look at our foundation. Let's look at visualize our successes, see where we've come from and where we're going. And all of these things together are going to make us successful. So, this is a beautiful mindset to start our Monday off. And I appreciate you being here so much.
Thank you for asking. And can I add two things to what you just said?
Please.
Remember the concept of iron? Ah, somebody just put it. There you go, Chantel. Iron sharpens iron. It's the
Mm,
literal truth.
I
So
love
be
that.
the person, be that partner in that, so
Hmm.
that it's a give and take. You're
Hmm.
empowering them, and in turn, they empower you. And then like attracts like. So you're
Yes,
find more people gravitating towards you because of what you're putting out there. And
exactly.
sometimes you will become the stronger of the two. You know, somebody needs a helping hand and you're being able to reach out and lift them up, but then it gets reciprocated. If you're
Mm,
ever in that dark place for a moment, or you know, you have a setback, you know who you can go to that will know
hmm.
what to say to put their hand out and pull you back up. So
Yeah,
it's truly, you know, an amazing process that we get to enjoy. And you're right, you know, the empowering of one another is what helps it happen as well.
that's awesome. Well, we could probably go on and on, and it would be amazing, but we probably should wrap it up. I appreciate everybody that has joined. Please, if you're listening to this after the live and it's a replay, if you would let us know that it's a replay, and then tell us some of the things that you really appreciated about what Tanya said, little gems that you picked out, because then it could, spark some conversations that might help. And Tanya, they can get in touch with you if they need
Oh,
some more inspiration or
Instagram is Tanya on the Run. I will always respond to private messages, but you can follow me as well, and you know, we can chat that way. But yes,
cool.
I mean, it's a passion of mine to help other people open this door. You know, it
Hmm.
might be just a little open now, but you can just open it wide to, you know,
Yeah,
whatever fulfills your heart.
that's awesome. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. And we will be tuning out. Thank you again. Love you, Tanya.
Love
Say
you.
hi to Ed.
Thanks so much. Okay.
All right. Bye bye.